I ain't gonna lie to you. I got a 6-1, maybe. I got a 6-1, bruh. Good body shot from Forte. Good right hand from brother. Hey, let me run this by you.
We prepared well. It didn't go like we wanted, like we expected, but we always knew that only one David was gonna prevail. The only thing that's left is to learn from it, move on, and be better next time.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I may have gotten a 61, bro. I had a good body shot from for a good right hand from for brother. Well, let me run this past you. We were well prepared, but it didn't go as planned, but we always knew that one day it would prevail. The only thing left to do is to learn from it, move on, and be better the next time. The fight between David Benavidez and David Morrell was an exciting showdown that enthralled fight fans with its intensity. The two fighters engaged in a slugfest from the first bell, both of whom seemed determined to end the fight by knockout. As the rounds went on, it became evident that Ben's experience and power started to take control. However, boxing professionals exposed Ben's win, calling it a big robbery. Fans' reactions on social media platforms have been aflutter with reactions from fans who feel that Morrell was unfairly denied. One fan mockingly tweeted, "Victory after robbing David Morrell. David Benavidez is arrested outside the arena," expressing the belief that Morrell should have won John Tank. In his analysis of the fight, Davis expressed amazement at Morrell's agility, considering his size. "I've never seen Morrell fight Sunsu that large in a since-deleted tweet before." Prominent sports journalist Ariel Helwani applauded the match's ferocity and went on to accuse the referee of cheating, implying that the officiating may have been skewed in favor of Benavidez. This fight between Benavidez and Morrell is sick, if not better than anticipated. I think that although Helwani's comment emphasized the fight's entertainment value, it also brought attention to how hotly contested the battle was. Combat sports expert Capoza also pointed out the fight's dramatic change in the closing rounds. 5. This comment demonstrates the idea that Morrell's performance in the later rounds was powerful enough to gain him the victory. Just as the fight was getting into a rhythm, Morrell turned up the drama in those last rounds. It was a tremendous fight that was easy to score, but delivered as expected. Even before the fight, during a media workout, tensions between Benavidez and Morrell were apparent. When Benavidez shoved Morrell during a face-off, Morrell threw his title belt at Benavidez, but security stopped the fight from getting worse. By the fourth round, Morrell stunned Benavidez with a surprise right hook that left the Mexican fighter on the ropes and vulnerable for the first time in a long time. But Benavidez, who is known for his tenacity and unrelenting pressure, quickly recovered his composure. Even though the Cuban fighter was on the defensive for the majority of the bout, he managed to land strong uppercuts that broke through Morrell's defense and forced him back.
It was one of my mistakes where, maybe I got going a little too late. I was getting going in the last 3 rounds. Maybe I should have done that earlier, but it's something to learn from, and, something that happened in that fight that was a factor. 1 second, Rafael here.
David, I wondered, when we were leading up to the fight, there was a lot of discussion about your relative lack of professional experience compared to David. I know you had the great amateur background. He had so many more pro fights. It seemed like that was a factor because he was able to slow it down, speed it up, and do sort of what he wanted at a lot of the times. I wonder if you felt like that the experience level was maybe a little bit much for you. I'd actually like to hear Ronnie's perspective on that also.
It was definitely one of the main factors in this fight where it didn't tilt the balance 100%, but it definitely was something that played a role in the outcome of the fight.
One of my flaws was that I could have started a little too late, as I was starting to get going in the final 3 rounds. However, I can learn from it, and there was something that happened in that fight that contributed to a second D, Rafael here. Thank you, David. I was curious as to whether you felt that the experience level was perhaps a bit too much for you. It was also one of the main factors in this fight where it didn't quite balance 100%, but it was definitely something that contributed to the fight's outcome. I know David had a great amateur background and had a lot more pro fights, so it seemed like that was a factor because he was able to slow it down, speed it up, and do sort of what he wanted most of the time. By the 8th round, the effects of Benz's attack were beginning to show as Morrell looked exhausted. His performance, which had started with some showboating and movement, started to wane as Benavidez controlled the pace of the fight. As the rounds went on, Morrell's energy level dropped, and it became evident that Benavidez was comfortably ahead on the unofficial scorecards by the 9th round of the championship rounds. The WBA lightweight champion Jant Davis criticized the referee on social media, saying that his actions affected the fight's outcome. Morrell tried to rally, hoping to steal the final rounds with aggression, but Benavidez continued to dictate the action, inviting the Cuban to press forward. A shocking moment occurred near the end of the 11th round when Morrell knocked down Benavidez, but controversy ensued when the referee deducted a point from Morrell for punching after the belt. This deduction shifted the momentum back in Benitez's favor. In the lead up to this fight, Benavidez has been outspoken about his contempt for Morrell, accusing him of disrespect and promising to make their clash a brutal affair. The press conference highlighted Ben's fiery temperament with his aggressive remarks and a physical altercation that only added to the drama. Benavidez, also known as the Mexican Monster, has an impressive record of 290 with 24 knockouts and is known for his relentless pressure power punches and iron will. It has been his goal to become the most dominant super middleweight and a possible contender to face boxing superstar Canelo Alvarez.
David Morrell and David Benavidez are going to fight.
Yeah.
Is that a fight that you're...
Oh, got it. Yeah. Well, the story with he and I was, I met him when he was a kid. And he told me, I'm going to be a world champion someday. And then I run into him and he's a world champion. That's happened to me so many times, usually with MMA fighters, not boxers. But that's when I was sort of kicking the tires of boxing. Yes, I will watch that fight, if that's the question.
David Benavidez, American from Arizona, from Phoenix, Arizona. Debut 2013 through 2021. I think he is still fighting. His last fight most likely occurred in 2021. Oh wait, November 13th, he's got an upcoming fight versus Jose Uzcatagu, Colombian. But his last one took place March 13, 2021. 24, and we got another undefeated.
David Moore and David Benavidez are going to fight. Is that a fight you're interested in? The story of him and me is that I met him when he was younger, and he told me that one day I would be a world champion. Then I ran into him, and he's a world champion. That's happened to me a lot, usually with MMA fighters rather than boxers. So I was kind of kicking the tires boxing. Well, yes, I will watch that fight if that's what you're asking. American David Benavidez, a PH from Phoenix, Arizona deb from 2013 to 2021. I believe he is still competing. His last fight was probably in 2021. Yeah, wait, November 13th. He'll be fighting Jose USU, a Colombian, but his last fight ended in a TKO on March 20th.
Man, no secret for everybody that Benavidez were, you know Robocop?
Hey, stop!
Yeah, that's it. Look, the Benavidez versus plan. It's 12 round. This time is the really secret. I never fight plan before. I think so plan not have too much power for Benavidez. So he's the big guy. He's as stronger too. So you have like the good lefts. You training hard. You have power. You have everything. Not nothing for you.
Keep your head up.
I can dance. I have moved that one. But I can dance. Benavidez can dance. That's it.
March 13th of 2021 to 24. And yeah, we have another undefeated opponent. The WBA regular champion, David Morrell, has established himself as a sleek, strong, and technically proficient fighter with a perfect record of 110 and 9 knockouts. Despite being the less seasoned fighter in terms of professional fights, Morrell is keen to demonstrate that he belongs at the top of the division. Throughout the news conference, Morrell has not displayed any symptoms of intimidation. He showed that he wasn't going to back down by refusing to shake hands with Benz and by daringly throwing his title belt at his head. For everyone music is music. This time is really secret, and I plan ahead. I think so plan have too much power for Ben. So he's a big guy, and he's stronger too. So you have like the good lefts. You UTR hard. You have power. You have everything. Nothing for you. I can't dance move. I can Dan can. That's it. On December 17th, 2024, tension between Benavidez and Morrell erupted during a media workout in Miami. Their hostility escalated into a physical altercation, raising the anticipation for their upcoming light heavyweight title fight. I dislike him. Their pre-fight exchanges have shown this hostility, including a heated altercation at a media workout in which Ben shoved Morrell, causing Morrell to toss his WBA interim belt at Benavidez. They obviously don't want him close to me, as Canelo Alvarez, the undisputed super middleweight champion, stated bluntly that Benavidez won the fight. When the sport is this contentious, rematches are warranted.
In terms of moving back down to 168, is that out the window now?
I'm not going back down to 168. I don't care if Canelo, if you wanted to fight me and told me to go down to 168, I don't care about that money. I don't care about none of that. I was at 168 for a while. 3 years, I was #1 contender. I was not given that opportunity, so now I'm here at 175 fighting the guys that have balls that actually take on their number one contenders.
Have you completely lost hope in that fight happening?
I don't think about that fight. I mean, I only think about what's on the table, and I only think about what's ahead of me. I knew that this fight was potentially, we could make it. We made it happen. Now I'm only thinking about this fight and then unifying the titles after.
Alvarez's remarks alluded to long-standing rumors that boxing politics purposefully prevented Benavidez, a relentless challenger, from landing a fight that would define his career against the biggest celebrity in the sport. In recent years, the rivalry between Canelo and Benavidez has been one of the most talked-about topics in boxing. The tension between the two fighters stems from Benz's persistent challenge for Canelo's super middleweight titles, which Canelo has avoided. His call for an immediate rematch echoed a broader sentiment among fans and pundits who saw the decision as a barrier to the matchups the public demands. Regarding going back to 168, is that out of the question now? I don't care if Canelo, if you ever wanted to fight me, and if you told me to go down to 168. I don't care about that money, I don't care about anything I can't. I was at 168 for 3 years, and I was the top contender, but I wasn't given that chance. So now I'm here at 175, fighting the guys with balls, and I actually take on their top contenders. Have you given up on that fight? I don't think about that fight at all. I mean, I only consider what's on the table, and I only think about what's ahead of me.
I think the purer puncher probably is Morrell for one shot. He's the less experienced guy, but he's got that Cuban background, with the amateur pedigree, over 100-something fights. He's got experience. Even though he's got a lot less fights professional, he's got experience. He hasn't fought the resume professionally that Benavidez has, so that's in favor of Benavidez. The experience, always important. But also the pedigree, like I said, where he comes from, Cuba, how, you come from that island that from the beginning when you first put those gloves on, it's all about becoming a world champ. Part of it is to escape the communist country, to get to a better life, to get to where you can pursue dreams, to get over here where you can become a world champion. And that is all there. But Benavidez comes from those bloodlines too, where it's all about with him and his father, and his family. It's all about being a champion, staying a champion, being proud, representing yourself in and out of the ring as a champion. The power. Both guys are known for that.
I was aware that this fight had the potential to happen, and we did. Right now, all I can think about is this fight and the eventual unification of the belts. Former champion turned ESPN analyst Andre Ward provided a more sobering yet incisive view, recognizing Morrell's technical expertise while supporting Benz's argument. Although Morrell's defense was excellent, this should have been changed by more forceful aggression. To win rounds, Benavidez did more. The conflict between tactical boxing and the eye test of continuous pressure was highlighted by Ward's comment. In the meantime, veteran trainer and analyst Teddy Atlas delivered a damning critique of the sport itself, claiming that this is the reason boxing is dying. His commentary reflected the subjective nature of the judging criteria, where each official weighs clean punching, effective aggression, ring generalship, and defense differently. Morrell's lateral movement, which some viewed as evasive rather than smart, irritated Atlas, and Benavidez's heavier shots prompted the fight judges to award him. Resonated with many who believe that Benz's relentless attacks emotional appeal clashed with the Cuban's smooth approach, which prioritizes survival over dominance.
I definitely made a lot of mistakes that left me exposed to getting hit more than I wanted. Next question.
David, I wanted to ask you a couple things. When it comes to a rematch, is that something that you'd like to wait maybe a couple years for before you jump back into it? And then if you can also elaborate on the difference in body shots. It doesn't seem like you really paid a lot of attention to the body like he did.
Next question. I'm not gonna wait like 3 years. That will be a long time. And as far as whether he wasn't looking for the body enough, that maybe that was the case. Yes, where I felt that I should have looked for the body more, but in that sense, he was heavier than normal, and it wasn't like he was hitting me that hard either, where like I wasn't feeling his punches a lot more than he was feeling mine.
10. I think the pure puncher probably is Morrell. For one shot, he's a less experienced guy, but he's got that Cuban background, with the amateur pedigree, over 100-something fights. He's got experience. Even though he's got a lot less fights profession, he's got experience. He hasn't fought the resume professionally that Benavidez has. So that's in favor of Benavidez of the experience, always important, always. Important, but also the pedigree, like I said, where he comes from, Cuba, how you know you come from that island, that from the beginning, when you first put those gloves on, it's all about becoming a world champ. You know, part of it is to escape the communist country, to get to a better life, to get to where you can pursue dreams, to get over here, where you can become a world champion. And that is all there. But better Vast comes from those bloodlines too, whereas it's all about with him and his father, you know, and in his family, it's all about being a champion, staying a champion, being proud, representing yourself in and out of the ring as a champion. The power of both guys are known for that.